Kiev Independent puts it nicely. Georgia has descended into political turmoil that is set to shape the country's future for years to come. Indeed, exit polls clearly indicated that the pro-European opposition coalition would win on the October 26 parliament elections, but the official results suddenly, all of a sudden, paint a different picture. Very different, completely different. The Central Election Commission announced on the evening of October 27th that the ruling pro-Russian party Georgian Dream is the name, had won over 54% of the vote, while a coalition of the four pro-European opposition parties got only slightly over 37.5%. Wow. International observers, opposition politicians, and the country's president, me including, all cried foul, alleging widespread electoral fraud. Thousands of Georgians took to the streets of downtown Tbilisi in protest. Georgian President Salome Zurabishvili was one of them.
We were not just witnesses, but also victims of what can only be described as a Russian special operation, a new form of hybrid warfare waged against our people and our country. As the last independent institution in the country, I must clearly state that I do not recognize these elections. Recognizing them would be a tantamount to legitimizing Russia's takeover of Georgia.
A day prior, Zurabishvili urged citizens to join her at Tbilisi's Freedom Square on Rustaveli Avenue to protest the falsified election. These elections cannot be recognized. This is the same as recognizing Georgia's subordination to Russia. No one can take away Georgia's European future, she said. But the Kremlin is actively trying, of course. The pocket Putin's party Georgian Dream campaigned as the Party of Peace, of course, highlighting the obvious devastation of Ukrainian cities caused by the invading Russian forces as something that they could avoid by simply surrendering to Moscow. Georgian Dream, like says it, want no worries in future? Give that very future away to Putin. As simple as that. They also threat that electing the pro-European opposition is the potential route to war with Russia. The Georgian Dream campaign posters underline this rhetoric with slogans such as, "With Georgian Dream, say yes to peace and no to war." So it is usual, normal, twisted Russian lies that are so outdated that no one really cared too much about that in Georgia. It wasn't these brutal lies that delivered the ballot win for the ruling party, even according to observers. It was same old good Russian widespread fraud. Yulian Bulai, a representative from the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, said it straight. Free and fair elections were not assured. It is worth noting that Bulai said that during a press conference that followed the elections. And when asked what went wrong, Bulai promptly left the room without even answering the questions. As obviously all went wrong. Observers documented a wide range of violations, from the distribution of pre-filled ballots to the confiscation of personal identification cards and documents. Criminal gangs linked to the ruling party intimidated voters and observers throughout the day.
As always, they are using democratic procedures to make anti-democratic sins, and that's what they are doing again here. What I personally saw in the rural area is very, very disturbing. It clearly influences the result of the election, so they cannot be called fair and free. Oleksiy Honcharenko, Ukrainian lawmaker, part of the PECE monitoring group.
A source close to United States intelligence services told Bloomberg that Georgian Dream's electronic infrastructure may have been compromised. The Russians appear to have taken possession of key servers. The unnamed source said Georgia's opposition has drawn parallels between the current situation and Russian aggressive war against Ukraine. We're fighting the same enemy, they say. The future of Georgia, free from Russian influence, is at stake, say activists. Anna Minadze, an activist with the NGO Free Georgia, was one of those who were planning to protest. For me, the motivation is simple. Georgia will never become Russia, she said. Her sentiment echoes the sentiment of young activists who have grown up watching Ukraine struggle against Russian aggression and who reject any rapprochement with Moscow despite Georgian Dream's messaging and open lies. We've been to Europe, we've been to America, we know what Western life is like and we know what Russia's like, says Minadze. Education, economy, and everyday life, we see what is at stake, and that is why we will protest. Meanwhile, pro-Russian Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze said that the Georgian parliament will approve the government despite protests by the opposition. So here it is in easy terms: for a war in Georgia has actually already begun, politically, for now. And last but not least at the topic, Viktor Orban of Hungary visited Georgia to say his congratulations to a pro-Russian, warmongering, under the disguise of peace-loving criminal thieves party. Why am I not surprised?